What does the P stand for?
Pinocchio.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
That's how that pitch. Every time that game developer was working on that game and somebody was like, what's that? What is it? Lies of P? What is that?
Right.
Pinocchio. And then everyone in the room went.
Pitching that
in
the game. So you're playing as a young Geppetto who's and everyone's already left the room. Wait a minute, where did everybody go?
Hello, and welcome to this special American edition of Grass Touchers. Happy July 4th, gentlemen. Let's get into it. I'm Jake.
I'm Jared.
And I'm Greg.
I hope everyone's having a blessed America Day. Everything that happened before 1776 was a mistake, as we all know.
All our previous editions were the Chinese edition of Grass Touchers. This is the only American edition.
This is the special America Day edition of Grass Touchers. Happy July 4th. Jared, what's up, dude?
I have spent the last 8 hours and 47 minutes saluting the American flag. I just now decided to be at ease. I'm doing well. It's a holiday. It's always nice to have a day off from work and to stay out of the sun. Mostly not be working on the sun.
Yeah,
so
for real though. We should mention it is the morning everywhere in each of our time zones.
Yeah.
Hence the extra luxurious, silky, sultry voice over there.
Yeah. It's a special morning episode of the show, and I wanted to take this time to talk about Steven Seagal.
Oh, yes.
No. Dude, have you guys listened to Steven Seagal's music at all? He has, like, albums.
I know you've sent me some. I seem to recall Greg may have heard at least one thing that you shared.
Yeah, he's got a song where he does a fake Jamaican accent, and the first line of the song is "Me want de punani." So that's pretty funny.
Incredible.
And I'd love to say that Steven Seagal is a great American, but that guy is really strange, and he has a bunch of weird allegiances to like Russia and
Japan.
He thinks he's Asian. Yeah, he's nuts, dude. So I will not.
Didn't he have a stint in like North Korea or something? Is he one of those celebrities? What was it? Certain celebrities have been invited to North Korea, and they're just like, "Yeah, sure, fine. What's up, dude?" Like,
maybe he sounds like he would do that. But if memory serves, I know that Dennis Rodman has been over to North Korea.
Right.
Kim Jong-un like loves to chill with Rodman, which is really funny. Dude.
So funny,
to be a fly on that wall. Oh my gosh! Wow,
incredible stuff.
Other than that, Dota ranking up. I'm still ranking up, dude. I mean,
no way.
Yeah, I'm moving up the ladder. I'm almost the kind of like in the middle. I'm approaching Archon ranks, which is like the 4-star. There's 1, 2. I'm in the 3-star ranks right now, and we'll see.
Nice.
Things are going well.
That's pretty rad.
Yeah. Deg.
Well, we've had a few PUBG stints, which have been a mixed bag, I would say.
Yeah.
Some good, some bad, some a gigantic waste of our lives. And I'm still playing the Elden Ring DLC, still great. Other than that, I'm going to start playing Lies of P soon, which is like another Souls-like, which I've mentioned for months now on the pod saying I'm going to start, but I finally got it on the deck and everything.
Yeah, you had that stint of like, I bought 7 games this week, and I was like, whoa, you're not going to play any of those anytime soon.
Yeah.
And you were like, yeah, I'll get to it.
What does the P stand for?
Pinocchio.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
That's how that pitch. Every time that game developer was working on that game, and somebody was like, "What's that? What is it? Lies of P? What is that?"
Right.
Pinocchio. And then everyone in the room went
pitching that
right okay.
in the game. So you're playing as a young Geppetto who's just, and everyone's already left the room. Wait a minute, where did everybody go? No, go ahead.
Oh man. But yeah, I'm thinking, I'm starting to get into the swing of like when I feed my son in the middle of the night, like positioning myself to where I can prop the bottle up, but I can also like put my Steam Deck in my hands.
Nice.
It's difficult, but I'm up to the challenge.
Hey, life finds a way. Like we always say.
It does. But that, and then would love to get into Civ 6 a little bit more. That was fun. The little session we had with that was pretty fun.
Yeah.
And I'll talk more here in a little bit, but Black Myth Wukong is like it's a game that's coming out in August that looks pretty interesting. Graphically and gameplay wise, it looks pretty unique. So may look at that. And there are some movies coming out this summer that the Deadpool 3 is coming out this summer, Deadpool and Wolverine. So that's exciting. It comes out this month, and so just a few things to look forward to. And
I think that movie looks sick because of the Wolverine thing. I think they're gonna drag some people into the Deadpool-averse that wouldn't have otherwise like checked out a Deadpool movie. Namely myself. I haven't seen any of those Deadpool movies. That might be kind of rad.
Yeah. So other than that, just hanging out with my son and my wife and being dad, and which is super fun and really challenging at times.
Yeah, right.
But super rewarding. The most rewarding thing, those of you that are not like parents out there, but like people that are, you'll understand, and I understand now, is like as frustrating as sometimes can be, like when you're like last night, my son, he wanted to party. Like he did not want to go back to sleep after we fed him. Anytime.
Like his daddy.
Just like his daddy didn't know when to stop. And so we would feed him, and I'd like look down, and like normally after I feed him and like rock him a little bit, he's like eyes closed and mouth agape, and milk drunk. I look down and he's like just eyes super wide, staring at me in the face, like just looking at my face. And so, in those moments where that's challenging because you're like tired and want to go back to sleep, and he's just ready to party, then you just look at his face, and it's like the most adorable thing you've ever seen in your entire life. And like you helped create that thing. It's like, I don't know. It makes it worth it, and pretty incredible.
Saying no to a cute kid that is your cute kid is very challenging. And that's that first sort of like hint of that, right? Is like, but Dad, I'm super cute, and I just had a bottle, and I'm awake. Let's hang out. And you're like, yeah, okay, I'll let you stay up till 4 a.m.
That literally happened exactly like that last night.
Yeah, right. It's like, oh boy, here I go, But it's no, I appreciate you sharing that. That's radical.
Yeah. What about you, Jake?
I want to double tap your Civ 6 enjoyment there, brother. I the other day, when I was doing some podcast editing, I thought, you know what I should do? Instead of playing my PUBG casuals for the day and constantly alt-tabbing when I need to, I have hotkeys that I use where I like alt-tab to Audacity, push a hotkey, make a note for myself to come back and edit something, and then I go back to the game. And the last week's episode was particularly edit-worthy. We had some moments where we were really venting, and I was like, alt-tab. And I thought, you know what I should do this week instead of using PUBG as my, like, while I'm editing the podcast game? I was like, I should boot up Civ 6 because there's nothing, like, actively going on at any one moment in Civ 6, right? It's either your turn or it's not, and then you're just waiting for the AI to do their thing, and then it's your turn again. That's a way better game to alt-tab sort of in and out of. Why haven't I thought of this before? I'm retarded. So I booted up Civ 6, and I started a game where I was playing Peter, which is one of the like Russian emperors from back in the day. And I had this super sweet arc of like, okay, I think I'm okay. I fended off all the barbarians off of my continent. I met some city-states. And I founded, which is not normally my playstyle, I founded like 5 cities before like turn 70. Like I was like getting these settlers to go plant all these cities down. And then Gilgamesh, the Sumerian god king guy, he like declared war on me out of nowhere. And I was like, bro, what is your problem? So then I had one city in particular that was close to his border, actually, that had really good production. And there was this city-state that he was the suzerain of, and that city-state declared war on me too because of that issue. But I had made good friends with Harald Hardrada, who's a Norwegian king. And so I was like, hey, I'm going to give you some iron in exchange for you joining this open war that has been declared on me.
Nice.
And he was like, yeah, dude, I got you. So he's bringing in warships and he's bringing in guys. And then his city-states that he's aligned with, they also turn on Gilgamesh. And so it was like, it was so fun, man. I love Civ. Like, it's really fun. So that was a good time for a couple hours, kind of alt-tabbing in and out of while editing the podcast. What I'll speak about kind of mainly today, our first main segment, is Elden Ring, because I've been playing that both on PC and Steam Deck. I got to tell you, boys, I am pleasantly surprised at how much I have enjoyed Elden Ring. I wasn't very hopeful at first because I'm not one to throw myself at sort of a difficulty curve just for the fun of it. Like, that's literally not fun to me.
Yep.
And as we say so many times, right, video games are supposed to be fun. There's a lot of things about this game that are surprisingly forgiving, which makes the cheap shots feel extra cheap because it's like, whoa, I thought you were holding my hand. You're not holding my hand anymore?
Right.
You're just going to one-shot me? All right, I guess this is Elden Ring after all. Like, it's just sort of a reminder of, like, don't forget, we're really mean. So I've really enjoyed it. I'm playing an astrologer, so I'm primarily, like, kind of keeping my distance from bad guys and, like, casting stuff. I think the first two spells they give you are appropriately lame because they're useful. And if you level up the right skills, like intelligence, then, you know, they'll do more damage over time. But they don't, like, look bad, right? You get a single pebble thing that homes in on enemies, or you get sort of an arc that does, like, an area of effect. And that's kind of all you have at first. What I really want to do is find more weapons for, like, offhand or switching off of my staff into some sort of, like, I almost bought at some vendor in the Knights of the Round Table hold. I almost bought a scimitar or a rapier because I thought that would be a nice kind of additional weapon to make quick strikes with on just, like, little enemies that I don't want to waste my magic on. Because that's the thing, is resource management a little bit, right? I've got these flasks and they take a second to use, and I really want to save them for, like, oops, I found a tough enemy, right? And I need to use my magic. I need to keep my distance. So I do want to find, you know, some sort of blend between the staff and, like, some non-magical, just, like, sword or whatever. Exploration has been rewarding. I've made my way sort of off the beaten path. I've decided, based on things Greg has said and things that I've heard elsewhere in the podcast-averse and in online, like, there's nothing wrong with exploring in this game. Don't touch a single boss if you don't want to. Just, like, go get strong. Go do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And gather stuff and enjoy the world building and the scenery, and so that's what I've decided to do. I think I've hit the Greg, you tell me if I'm wrong about this. I think I've hit the end of the game deliberately taking you to the different sort of game systems, right? Is the round table hold the last thing that the game is like,
yes,
oh, by the way, here's this thing. Now you're really off the rails and you can do whatever you want.
Yes. Yeah. Once you hit round table hold, you're kind of free to do. You're not going to, there's nothing else that's going to happen that you're missing out on that's game breaking. Like getting the horse is super important. Getting round table hold access is huge. And it's funny that you were like, yeah, I went to round table hold and it's lame. There's like not a lot there. And that, when you first go there, that's very true. But as you play the game, it gets incredibly useful. And so,
oh, sure. And I could see that. I can see some of the videos that I've seen. Now that I've been to the round table hold, I recognize where that guy had gone. Mm-hmm. You know, you'll see a video that's like, oh, go over here and give this guy 5 of these, and he'll give you this. And then go over here and then, you know, kill this person and then tell them that you're going to give them. Now I see, like, some of those people, I give them certain items that they're looking for, and there's, you know, rewards and stuff. So I'm sure it'll be useful later. But when they first take you to the round table hold, there's not, like, a thing to do there.
There's not a lot to do other than get killed.
Yeah, other than get killed. Is that, like, the point? Like, do you have to get killed to leave that place?
No,
or did I just miss?
You can
there's
fast
probably
travel.
some other way to get out, right?
You can fast travel.
Oh, I could have just fast travel. Oh my god, so stupid. I was telling Greg before you got on, Jared. I I went to this area. It's sort of like not a hub world, but like a safe place that isn't like the main game realm.
Yeah.
And when you fast travel over there, there's some vendors and some NPCs that you can talk to. I think they give quests and all this stuff, right? And I was exploring. I tried to go back out the door I came in. It said, you can't do that. And I explored, and I didn't see any way out other than to jump off of this balcony into this kind of big open, like, great hall looking area. So I did that. I looked around, and I was like, none of these doors open either. Like, what am I supposed to... And then it says I got invaded by so-and-so, which is some PvP mechanic, right? Getting invaded. And this dude rolls up at me with, like, a giant scythe. He's got all this reach that I don't have. And I'm like... I'm like throwing my magic pebbles at him. Just, like, absolutely get killed. And I was like, okay. And then I didn't have very many runes, but I had a few runes. So then I died, and I lost whatever those were. And I was like, you know what? Not worth it. I'm not going back over there. That was dumb. I have zero desire to do any PvP in that game because the whole thing I've realized about Elden Ring is you can take whatever path you want, you can look up whatever guides you want, and you can put together any build you want, and it's entirely possible that in any given PvP encounter you will find somebody who has just went to getstrong.com and figured out some perfect one-shotting ridiculous build.
Yeah,
like,
min-max to the extreme. Like,
yeah, I'm not interested in comparing Elden Ring wiki notes with strangers on the internet. That's all that is to me. You know what I mean? Like, cool, you went with that build. Nice.
And then there's a bias with the people that go out of their way to become extremely strong in a PvP way and just, like, force their way into PvP situations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I don't think... I know that I could do sort of a co-op thing, and maybe as I don't know if I'll ever beat Elden Ring, but if I get to a point where I've been playing the game for a little while and I want to play with Greg, I certainly could, right? But yeah, I'd say the last thing I'll say about Elden Ring, put it on the Steam Deck, absolutely enjoyable, running like 45-50 frames a second. Nice. The controls feel just like, I think that the Steam Deck is most like an Xbox controller, right, as opposed to a PlayStation controller, and it feels really great in the hand. Looks good, feels good, plays good. No notes. The Steam Deck rocks for Elden Ring. It took a second to download. Last night I was playing Rocket League while I was waiting for the Steam Deck to download Elden Ring, and I was like checking, and I was like, I really want to get back to Elden Ring. I really want to stop losing at Rocket League. Oh, and speaking of that, real fast, I didn't mention I have been playing Rocket League still. I got sick of 3v3 and I went to 2v2. In ranked because I thought maybe that would be fun. I remember liking 2v2 better. And turns out what Rocket League does when you play your first placement match is it puts you in whatever rank. It puts you up against people who are whatever rank you used to be last time you played that rank. Boys, when I left Rocket League 2v2, I was in plat. I was doing great in the platinum 1-2 kind of, Yeah. So I got matched with these, like, plat guys that are, like, breakdancing on the ceiling. Right. I was like, shoot, this is going to go real bad. I won the first one because I got absolutely carried by my teammate. And then the second match, that teammate was on the opposite team. Oh. And I was like, dang, I know where that's going, So then I lost a couple. But then Elden Ring was done downloading, so I just played Elden Ring. I've been pleasantly surprised at how easy Elden Ring is to pick up and put down. Because those points of grace, you can just, like, pick up where you left off, go mess around. If you find something that really sucks, go get your runes and go somewhere else. And if that sucks too, just go back to the point of grace you were just at and like, shut the game off. Like, I thought of it as something I would, like, kind of like we talked about with Baldur's Gate 3, which I still need to return to one day. I pictured it as something that I really need to, like, put on my blinders and get stuck in. But it's really easy to pick up and put down. And the moment-to-moment stuff is really great. So.
It was really funny. First of all, it was a dream come true watching you stream the game. But It was really funny when you pulled up just a second ago before the pod you were streaming and you pulled up your map. And I was thinking, I wonder where he's explored. And I'm like, oh, Jake, you're missing such a huge portion of, like, the beginning of the game. And that made me so happy because it's like you could... It's very similar to Baldur's Gate 3 in that regard, where, like, two people can have completely different gameplay experiences, especially for the first, 6 to 8 hours of gameplay.
For sure. And that's something that you've been, and I want you to keep this up. This is a good thing. you've been very good about telling me the useful stuff and not like, oh, dude, how come you haven't gone over here? No, stop. Don't do what you're doing right now, Jake. Don't play the game how you want to play it, Jake. Go over here. Because it doesn't matter, right? You can do whatever you want. We can do whatever you want, and I think that's the beauty of the game, is that you can go have a wildly different kind of intro than anybody else. I'm just blindly exploring.
If you and Deg play the game together online, does it like, are you just like his ward? Like, are you just like absolutely useless?
I would be.
like level wise, or does the game have like a catch up?
It would scale my level down to Jake's level.
Oh, okay.
So if we were to do co-op, it would scale my level down.
You would still have like weapons and abilities that far outpace mine, and you would still be able to do more damage than me, but not to the extent that you would if we were playing at your level. Right? Does that sound right? Like you would still have more. You'd have more weapons at your disposal, but you wouldn't be doing 10 million.
I'm kind of curious. I don't know if it scales. I've never done co-op in Elden Ring. I'm curious to see if, because it scales my level down to yours, if I lose all my stats, which I need my stats to like use the weapons and armor that I'm using. So I'm curious if it would do that, or if it's like what you're saying, where it would just decrease my damage. I'll be curious. So we should try that at some point to see what it would look like.
Yeah. After I go and collect more things and get to not a plateau, but like sort of another echelon of where, because I still just have everything I started with plus like a couple new pieces of armor. You know what I mean? Like that's all I have really going for me. So I'll let you know when I get to a point where you should join me in my quest.
We should do a full playthrough of Math Blasters for the PC. You guys remember that game?
Excellent non sequitur idea, dude. I remember Math Blasters. I ripped on that game.
Yeah?
That game rocks. Yeah, Math Blasters. Dude. I remember.
You gonna blast me?
There were. I'll blast you some math. Yeah, I got some math for you right now.
Whoa. This is getting gay fast, dude.
I remember in Math Blasters, there was this like totally awesome typing. It was a half typing game, half math game, because you had to quickly enter. Like there was these asteroids that would fall down. Mm-hmm. It was like 7 + 4, and you had to hit like 11, enter, and then it would like shoot a laser at that asteroid,
right? And
then it would explode. That was rad.
Yeah,
I did that like a lot.
Yeah, my last memory of Math Blaster was, the multiplication was too hard. I was too young for it. I think I was probably in like 3rd grade, and I was like, oh well, this is for big kids. I can't hang with this.
This is the Elden Ring of
it got too competitive for me, and I just had to recuse myself. But that we should either do that or we should play Mavis Beacon.
Mavis Beacon.
Yeah, dude. Was she hot?
Take you back. I'd have to look. I have no memory. I have no way of knowing. Take you back to the 4th grade computer lab with that one.
That's right. Yeah.
Dag, tell me about this. You briefly mentioned it earlier. Black Myth Wukong. What is this on the radar?
Well, I'm going to read you the Wikipedia page. Black Myth Wukong
nice.
is an action role-playing game releasing in August. It is inspired by the classical Chinese novel Journey to the West. The player controls a monkey referred to as the Destined One, who is based on Sun Wukong from the novel Journey to the West, which those of you out there who know or don't, Sun Wukong is who they based Son Goku off of for Dragon Ball Z. The character's primary weapon is a staff known as the Ryu Jingu Bong. That's he wields a bong. The player can make. Sorry.
I'm holding in so many jokes right now. Please continue.
I know. We get to edit some or all of this out. The player can make use of the character's various abilities and spells, including transformation spells, to change the character into different creatures or beings. The game mostly follows linear progression, interspersed with open world exploration. It looks really cool. It's a action role-playing game is what they describe it as. It looks like a mixture. Jake, what did you say earlier? Like God of War. And
I said it looked like some sort of Dark Souls, God of War,
Sekiro.
There was some other game, Sekiro, yeah, just because of the Asian flair to it all. I guess is what I thought of as Sekiro.
It looks very cool. You know, kind of the Chinese mythology flair to it is intriguing. That's not something that really has been explored in a lot of video games, which I think is interesting and neato. I am getting more and more into the third-person action RPG, Dark Souls-esque kind of combat games. And so it's kind of piquing my interest. Graphically, I think it looks really cool.
It looks really good. Did they say what engine it's on? Is it Unreal 5?
Unreal 5, yeah.
Yeah, dude.
And,
I wonder what the video you sent, I wonder what that gameplay was captured on. Was it like PS5 or PC?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Obviously, it was a demo, so they probably put it on whatever console performs the best at this point in the dev cycle.
Sure.
It seems like that would be PC, but I don't know.
Yeah, but it looks cool. The combat looks very fast paced and frenetic. You've got like the big bow staff, right, and you can do all sorts of parkour and flips and things, and then you've got magic, and so I don't know. It looks pretty neat. So
the video you showed us, I mean, it was like clearly a Souls-like dodge, duck, roll, parry sort of like fast paced thing that would be pretty high skill ceiling, and an opportunity for you to do the Sekiro thing and kind of learn moves.
It's interesting. It's interesting that video I sent you guys. Like almost everything in the video is combat. Like there's not any exploration really in the video. So I'm curious how much exploration there actually is in the game, or if all they were given for the demo was the combat.
Yeah, for the viewer, for our listeners, the video we're referencing is like a summary from IGN where they said they got to they went hands-on with the game for like 2 hours, and so, but the video was not a 2-hour-long video from IGN. It was like shorter than that. So they probably just put in the parts that were most interesting for the sake of capturing, the moment-to-moment gameplay. I would be very interested to see, based on the source kind of material, like surely there's a dope story or a great voice acting or. Yeah, I would imagine there's something else to it.
Now,
but
is this the game, correct me if I'm wrong, is this the game where you have to collect the bananas for Funky Kong? Or is that, am I mixing that up? It's something.
Yeah, one and the same, actually.
Okay. That's what I thought.
And they're already working on a sequel, Black Myth Wukong Country. Where
really?
You'll get to play Black Myth Funky Wukong, and you'll get to play as Black Myth
Kitty Kong.
Diddy Wukong.
Cranky Kong? He's the old one. He's cranky.
I am curious. The developer is Game Science, which I don't see anything on like Wikipedia about them. So I'm interested to see.
Is this their first offering, you think?
It seems like it. Yeah, it's
Game Science is a video game developer headquartered in Jihu District in China.
So they're actually a Chinese game developer. Wow, don't see that very often.
Nice, man.
Dixie Kong or Crash Bandicoot's girlfriend, who was hotter? Go.
Oh, tough.
Let's see here.
Actually, I don't think it probably isn't tough. Speaking plainly, I think Crash Bandicoot's girlfriend was made to be sort of, a whole lot, way out of Crash Bandicoot's league, honestly. Let's be real here, folks.
Guys, if you're
she
curious,
was meant to be put in there as the untouchable slam piece.
Guys, if you're curious, please do not make the mistake I just made and do not type in Dixie Kong on Google.
Why would you attach the last word to that?
I'm totally kidding.
Right.
Guys, do not accidentally search Dixie Kong Rule 34 okay? Because you will get some results that you would not expect.
But you'll get exactly what you typed in.
Your machine is designed to give you the results that it is built to give. I typed in Crash Bandicoot girlfriend, and that was high enough risk in the first place.
But you didn't regret it. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. Wow. That's right, dude. And then, of course, the first result is a Kotaku article that's like, girlfriend gets one heck of a glow up.
No. Oh my gosh.
Get out of here.
Hilarious.
Get outta
I wish I
here.
worked for one of those publications. That sounds like the easiest job ever, dude.
Dude, right?
Zero actual journalism, just being like, did Crash Bandicoot's girlfriend have a major glow up?
It's like, yeah, kind of, because the last game that featured this character was a,
Right.
Sega Genesis. Like,
Had
yeah, she
major
looks better?
major polygon limitations.
Instead of having those great pyramid freaking she's got
Right,
actual,
right.
Anyway.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, Black Myth Wukong sounds like something that will be right up your alley, and we'll stay tuned. Listeners, come on back. Don't miss an episode. Let's keep our eyes on that one. Hey, Greg has this segment for us about a little retrospective on some games. Deg, let's get into it. What do we got?
This is games that have not aged well.
Nice.
Well.
And my thought process here was much like many of the questions I pose. You can answer this the way that you interpret the question, right? So for me, I've got 3 examples, and they all have not aged well for different reasons. And so I'm just going to get right into it.
Yeah,
The first one is the original Metroid for the NES. My reason for that is that they did it better and more fluidly with better graphics with Super Metroid like 3 years later. And Super Metroid in every way is just the same game experience, but way better.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so original Metroid, also it feels clunky to play. It's a very difficult game, and it's not even a very rewarding game when you do meet the challenges of the difficulty curve. Donkey Kong 64 has not aged well at all. I don't think that game aged well like a month after release. I remember even playing DK64 like a year after it came out, and I was like, man, this game sucks. Like it's a collectathon. I think that game, one of the reasons it hasn't aged well is like this idea of like open world where you collect things has just been done better, and with better graphics and with more fluid gameplay than Donkey Kong 64.
Well, and there was such a rash of those games from like Rare or their sort of parallel studios like Gex or which mad respect for Gex.
Gex is a pretty sweet game, but
but the platforming, run around, jump on top of bad guys, you get 1 or 2 little abilities, and like you collect the bananas, you collect the coins, you collect the things.
Mario 64 was so good that every company was like, let's just make an inferior version of that everyone will still buy somehow.
Yeah, it set the stage, as Nintendo is known for doing, setting the stage for a game loop, and then lots of other people jump in and make their own
Paging Breath of the Wild.
Game loop.
Well, like Super Metroid though, Black King Wukong came in and sort of perfected what they had done with Donkey Kong 64. So it makes sense that you'd say that.
That's right, dude.
The last one is Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. As much as it pains me to say that, because I love Oblivion. I love that game. I like Oblivion more, I think, than I like Skyrim. I've certainly played Oblivion more than I played Skyrim. But kind of similar reasons as Metroid. Everything that was done in Oblivion was done with better graphics and more fleshed out progression system and in Skyrim. And so I will say I would love to play a Unreal Engine 5 modern day remake of Oblivion, because I think the setting of that game is really cool. The plot of that game is really cool. But so Metroid, DK64, and Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. What about you guys?
I think it's interesting the criteria that we keep in mind, because I think you did a good job of pointing out there's different ways that something doesn't hold up well. The game loop might not hold up well because we have better, faster, stronger, more interesting game loops. And then the graphics is interesting because, like, you didn't know at the time that Oblivion came out, you didn't know that games would look as good as Cyberpunk. You didn't know games could look as good as Black Myth Wukong that's coming out in August. at that time, your eyes filled in the gaps, and Oblivion had like pretty good graphics.
I thought it was photorealistic when it came out. Yeah. Honestly,
right? Isn't that funny how that happens? Because now we look at it and it's like it hurts to look at.
Yeah.
So there's a thing there where it's like mentioning that the graphics were good at that time. Like that's good enough. Of course it doesn't hold up now because there's more capability now. At the time, they were doing the best with that sort of generation of hardware. Even if it was possible, like Crysis is a good example of this. It was possible to make games that looked better than Oblivion, but nobody would be able to run it, and the console certainly wouldn't be able to run it. And if console gaming is the main sort of demographic, which it certainly was at the time, then like you can only make a game look so good. I feel graphically, I was actually going to say Skyrim. Because you may remember on the Steam Deck, I put Skyrim on there, and I was like, oh, won't this be fun? I'll go doink around with like just a ogre of a character. I did like I leveled up 2-hand weapons the whole time, and I only leveled up stamina and just like one-shotted people with power attacks, and it was fun for about 3 hours. And I was like, why did I pick this up? This looks horrible. The gameplay, the gameplay loop of Skyrim has been done just ad nauseum now, right? Like the open world thing, once you go to a place, you can fast travel to it, and there's an inventory, and if that inventory is too heavy, then you can't fast travel anymore, and there's skill trees that you level up, and you kind of have to pick a lane and specialize in something so that you don't get, demolished when you have to fight a dragon. That as a game loop, paging Dr. Starfield is like we don't need that game loop anymore. Like we don't need a single game that is like that ever again. We will probably get some because game developers know that it will sell to at least some degree. But like as a game loop, and again, the graphics thing notwithstanding, it also doesn't hold up there either by today's standards. But I think that's the kind of game that I don't really want to play. The other kind of game that I don't want to play, I'm not going to name a specific game, but just the gameplay components to me that don't age well is like when there's a tower that you climb to the top of and now you've revealed more of the map, like that Ubisoft open world thing. Absolutely horrendous. The way that like the first 2 hours of the game, they hold your hand and introduce you to all the various game systems, and then when you open up the map, there's 500 million different icons on your map of like chores, dude. Yeah. That's what it feels like. Yeah. Chores. That's not something I need. That doesn't feel good. At the time, I'm thinking like Assassin's Creed 3 or Far Cry 3 was a great one. At the time, it was like, wow, look at all these things I can go do. Yeah. But you very quickly realize out of all those little dots on my map, I only like doing these two kinds. So I'm going to go through the map and I'm looking for those kinds because those are fun to me. And I'm just going to ignore all the other ones. Yep. No, I don't want to go find 14, red-bellied sparrows and shoot them with an arrow so that I can craft a quiver that allows me to hold 5 more arrows in my in my inventory. Like, I'm not going to do that. Yep. But the map's got it. The map's got all these little places. Hey, look, there's this kind of animals over here. You go hunt them if you want. So it's more like the systems of the games don't age well to me. But yeah, the graphics thing, I do have a hard time playing old games when it comes to graphics because I'm just such a snob, I guess. Like I want the latest, greatest kind of thing, and that comes with being a tech bro. I work in IT, no big deal, that kind of stuff.
Oh boy, here we go. Ones and zeros again.
Yeah.
Always with this. No.
How about you, Jared? What would you say doesn't really you play a lot of retro stuff to your great credit. You'll play old games all the time, but what do you think kind of doesn't like, oh, actually I don't want to return to this. Never mind, this sucks.
I think there are, like you're saying, like generationally there are a lot of console games that like I know aren't going to be the same experience, and I probably, won't try and pick them up again. Oblivion is a great example. I loved that game as a kid. It was like immersive. I was like this. I really felt like I was like in a living, breathing world. But specifically, Tomb Raider comes to mind immediately. I have not tried to play it lately, but that and like Resident Evil 2, like how they had kind of like tanky platforming controls. I can't imagine trying to go and play Tomb Raider right now. I remember back when I was a kid watching my brother and my older cousin play that game, and they're just like they're like, they'd fall off of like a cliff or something. And I'd be like, what the heck? And they're like, it doesn't control. It's it's weird. So I can't even imagine how poorly it handles now. I'm thinking probably like Twisted Metal 2, which was a fun game, but like I bet it just looks like absolute dog crap. I mean, have you seen screenshots of Tomb Raider, the original Tomb Raider PlayStation?
Not like super recently, but yes, I know what you're talking about. The original sort of look and feel of that game. I can like smell how dusty it is looking at the screenshot. Like, right. Sucks.
Yeah, and the same thing with probably Twisted Metal. Weird controls. Like you're talking about a vehicular game where when you want to drive forward, we're like accustomed to hitting the right trigger. It's like gas.
Yeah.
Maybe a face button, maybe A or something. I'm pretty sure that you hold up to go forward, and it sounds so weird and unintuitive, and I don't think I could return to that. Besides that, a couple of personal picks that maybe most people don't think about would be a couple of fighting games for like the Genesis generation. Eternal Champions and Clay Fighter. Did you guys ever play either of those?
No. Clay Fighter is ringing a bell I didn't know I had, where I saw the cover art in a Blockbuster or something. I don't know.
Well, there was a Clay Fighter for the Nintendo 64 that I think like sold exclusively at Blockbuster, and it's now worth like $800 or something. I don't think it's a good game. I don't think it's a particularly good game. I think it might just be a port. But I've played this game recently for a part of our YouTube channel. I had to fight my little brother in it, and it is horrific. It is one of the worst games I have ever played. And I played it a lot as a kid. We loved it.
Does it just control like horribly by today's standards?
Just so horribly, dude.
Yeah.
That and Eternal Champions was a fighter for that generation, and it just is like, oh man, it's just bad. It just feels so bad, especially if you're holding an actual Genesis controller.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Like Sonic the Hedgehog was a great game. It handled extremely well, and I bet you'd feel really natural on that controller. Dude, playing these old games with that is a sad, dark experience.
That's another good point to bring up. Is like we're spoiled by so many things, whether it's graphics or certain gameplay loops that are more common now, or controllers. You don't realize like the leaps and bounds of like the subtleties of rumble. It used to be on an N64, you would connect this honking rumble pack, and it like weighed 4 pounds, and it would just like rumble like crazy, and it was just either it was rumbling or it was not rumbling. Like there wasn't like any nuance to it. And now we have like haptic feedback triggers on a PlayStation controller that like have different resistances to them, or just having a long press like an analog like gradation when you're accelerating on a vehicle. That's something that on the Steam Deck, I started playing Rocket League on the Steam Deck. I forgot that like you can do a little throttle or a lot of throttle on a trigger. Duh, like of course you can. Sure. That's been around for a long time. But I used to play keyboard and mouse, Yeah, controls, man. Old school games had pretty wonky controls a lot of the time, if they weren't hyper popular, landmark games like Sonic or whatever.
Right. Dude, I want to get a rumble pack for my dude. Plug it in.
They make those. They're called rings.
No. It's got to be a rumble
batteries.
pack,
Jake can point you in all the directions for that one.
And that brings us to our sponsor, ladies and gentlemen, marriagesupply.com.
Adam and Eve.
Of your...
Yeah, dude.
Man.
Oh, thank you guys for listening so much to Grass Touchers. We appreciate you greatly. As usual, you can find us on MySpace and Facebook,
And LinkedIn.
and LinkedIn,
And Zanga.
Zanga. You can find us on the Zima code entry website where you could back in the day you could put a code in and collect points and change them in for prizes. We have a few prizes on there. One
Google
of them
Plus.
Google Plus. Just collect those rewards points because I don't want to spoil anything. But one of them is a random fan gets to go stay at Deg's house for a week. so he's pretty excited about that. But you do have to change his son's diapers. That's the one rule. That's the one stipulation.
And it's a lot of diapers right now, folks. It's a lot.
Yeah. So it's sort of like an indentured servitude, but we're going to call it a reward. But if you really want to find us, you can find us on Instagram and on YouTube at 3 Grass Touchers. And I think is that pretty much it? Engagement, feel free to send in any requests, any questions on our Spotify page or on one of our social outlets. And as usual, get out there, get dirty, get wet, and touch some grass.
Do it, folks.